What's up, y'all? Hey, you guys. So, figured I'd make a little video tying up this, it's like a big linen sheet. Look at it. Kind of cool. Furry. It's got like a lot of little pleats and stuff in it. 100% cotton. Big nubs, though. Check this out, because to even grab something and to try to get any type of definition or contrast in it, which what I'm talking about is a definition or contrast once it's dyed in a piece this big. If you see, I thought with having all the pleats in it, it would give it natural. Problem is when I tighten it up, it just rolls out. Everything rolls out of it because it's such a thick material. So having to create the little veins and the little contrast that we see in Kinney style work, you want to be something like that. It's kind of hard. So what I'm having to do is making a little bit bigger nubs than I normally would. We're building out under my house. That's why you hear all that stuff going on. Boom, 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 boom. It's not them living in the floors, I promise. Although they could be. So check it out. Right here, you can see the natural creases, and that's kind of what I'm going for. That's what I'm looking for. But to try to use those to my advantage, you can even see, like, even when I try to build this up and I squish it together, it gives me some line work, but it's not a lot. So anyway, I just thought this would be a good opportunity to make a little video on it, giving some of my tips and tricks to do this. And it's a pretty good opportunity, really, because they're so big. So what I'm doing is I find the natural veins created from the nubs on the other side. You can see these guys. I flip it over. I'm working the back side now. And here, I don't want it to be right here. I want it to be in between these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this little section right here, pushing up. But once I get that done, then I like to go and kind of fold it a little bit, creating more of those little veins. You can see here when I do that, then I get a little bit more detail all the way around. Also, I've created my own sinew puller. I have a lathe downstairs that I bought, and what I did is I created a point on it. That way I can kind of get in there and make a little bit more definition like that. So once I got that where I want it, I'm gonna wrap this guy. And because you see, look right here, here's the problem. Just by doing that, it opened up. But what I try to do is I'm trying to use the force of this, and I start to twist it. And then I start getting some of that back, and what you can do is you can twist against it the opposite direction. Maybe you put a little dip in it, you know, something like that, creating a couple more little veins, and then I go over the top and I lock that in. You see when I lock that in, then it throws out the veins that are on this side. So I might come back over here, just pushing against it, I get some more back. So you can see it kind of flattened it out. Push against it, I get some more back, and then I'm gonna roll. Now look, Now I got them back again. So I'm continuously doing that. I like to also, if I get the opportunity here, I want to try to get as much of this material in between these two, the flat surface here. What I'm going to try to do is reach down with the string and hook it and pull it up to the nub. You see, now I've gotten that little pocket right there. Got this guy and that guy on the last pull. Pull them up to it and then come back around and roll back down to it. Now I'm using that bottom piece as a hook, right? And then going back over again. So that's just one of the techniques that I've been using. Also, in a piece like this, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I want to make sure the die gets deep inside this, and it's hard because I got to get it nice and tight. So what I've been doing is leaving a little, like making it a little bit looser, so it's not so tight. I'm not just yanking away. And then at the very end, I put I tighten it at the bottom. That way, what it does is it grabs all the string here, and it kind of cinches it down around this. So when I tighten, I put a couple more wraps around this bottom, and then I pull that, and it pulls all those other strings that I've done down, tightening them. But there's still room in this thing. There's not much, but see, I can squeeze that. I can manipulate it a little bit, and that will allow some of the dye to get down inside this thing. I'm going to try something. I haven't seen anyone do this. I don't even know if it's a thing, but I'm going to create a pressurized chamber, because one of the things I'm finding, especially with big pieces like this, and I'm really enjoying making some of the blankets and throws and stuff. My wife loves them, as you can see. Look on my couch over here. I got one there. There's one on the chair back there. Where are we at? Right there. There's a little bend over there. There's one beside it. There are throws all over the house. So I'm trying to get some colors that maybe she likes, but also that I think other people will like. And I've been venturing down the cream road, creams and browns and grays. I actually have a dye right now. It's called Snow White, and when you mix it, it comes up brown, so it's not white at all. But what I think it does, and this brought on a whole nother challenge for me, what I think it actually does, it fills the void of the dye. So then when you wash out, it washes out and it leaves white. So what it does is it goes in, it takes the space so other dyes can't get into it. And then when you go wash it out, it leaves your whites the way that they should be prior, like this. However, you will get fading, you'll get bleed, you'll get leaching from other dyes into that area, which gives you that effect of like white water or lightning in some cases, depending on what string you're using, because it basically creates a negative space for dye not to go into, I believe. So then it got me thinking, and I don't know much about this dye thing, but what if you used a color that is like, okay, on Dharma's site, if you go and look up Dharma, it will tell you certain colors. It will have an asterisk beside it, meaning you got to use 2 or 3 scoops or times the normal amount of scoop in it. So what if you didn't do that? What if you went and got like a blue, let's say, or a yellow? I know yellow is one of those that you have to put like 8 teaspoons per ounce, right? Or 8 tablespoons per 8 ounces, because it takes more dye What if you didn't do that? What if you just put a very thin amount of dye in that area and you added it first? And now as I'm saying it, it doesn't make sense. But my thinking is if you did that, would you have the opportunity then when you go to put new dye in, it won't go into that area because technically there is already a dye in there, even though it may be diluted. And now that's what's got me thinking, well, if it's diluted, then the dye won't recognize that there's other dye there because it will still attach to the fibers and react the same way. So maybe that's just a mute point and it doesn't work at all. However, it does got me thinking because I really like when you wash out and it washes out other colors and it leaves those negative spaces and it lets light shine through almost in a translucent like state. I think that's a pretty cool thing. So just something I'm experimenting with. You know, this whole thing is all about experimenting. The other thing that I've been doing is so you can see that this was a line of nubs here. This is the center. It should have a void in it like this. But what I'm doing is I'm taking the string and I'm actually going back into here and I'm grabbing behind it. And then I'm coming across, going back into here and I'm grabbing behind it and I'm pulling two nubs together like this. But I'm trying to get some of the material on the back end here and on the front end here and sandwiching that. And when you do that, what it does is it's going to create more ridges in between. And I really like the line work that the dye gets stuck in those ridges. That way when it opens up, you have all these little crevices where the dye has gotten stuck into, and it holds a little bit better, and it creates for me what I believe to be the contrast of it, because I'm always trying to find, like, you know, the contrast in colors. So a lot of this stuff I find by mistakes, you know, mistakes I've made, and then you go, oh, I study the piece when I'm done with it. You know, I'm looking at it, I'm like, how did I get that? How did that show up? I don't even know how that happened. And I kind of look at the piece and I look at where I believe the nub was, which is kind of how I figured out how to make nubs in the first place. There's no real good videos on it other than a bunch of guys working really fast, kind of like I'm doing right now, tying stuff up, but you really can't see their fingers, you know. And so what I've done is I've actually, some of the guys that I respect, I admire, who inspire me, I've ordered their pieces and kind of reverse engineered them, if you will. I mean, I don't want to say I'm stealing from anybody. I'm just taking what they have put out there and tried to understand it by studying the different ripples, effects, or the ridge lines, or the techniques that they use by owning a piece of their art. And some of these guys' stuff, I'm going to be honest with you, I won't even wear it because it's sacred to me. I cherish it, and I keep it like a piece of art, which is what I plan to do with several people. There's a lot of you guys out there that I really admire and I think are super wicked talented. And you know, I do look at this whole thing as an art form, and you guys inspire me. And so, you know, I'm just trying to create something that I can be as passionate about as I believe they are, and I believe that you are. And so hopefully, you know, this video is not one of telling secrets per se, you know, like I'm undoing what others have done, and, you know, and I'm taking away. I hope I'm giving back to the art that this is, and the inspiration that this whole thing is, because to me, you know, I find so much serenity in being able to sit here and work on a piece and look out my window while I'm doing it, and just really be present in my own life and be present to where I'm at right now, right? Like I'm present in the moment. I'm not thinking about yesterday. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm not thinking about the negative things in this world. What I am thinking about is like how cool this is going to be, what I'm going to learn from this, and how I'm getting to share this with someone else. So that was a long video, 15 minutes, right, to talk about some stuff that I just don't see. And I hope to see more of it, because I know when I'm trying to learn this, and y'all, I've not been doing this, maybe if I was to guesstimate, maybe 6 months of doing tie-dye. I'm a late bloomer, if you will. I got into it by accident. I was a parking lot kid, and I've traveled around a lot of music and stuff, but I just never got into the tie-dye thing. Not for any real reason other than personally, I didn't like the bright tie-dye spiral traditional tie-dye stuff. I personally like the dark, and I like the not dark light. I like a spiritual light, but I like the dark. I like the faces in this stuff. I like to see some of the almost creepy-ish, kind of things in it. And not like in a negative way of like a bad acid trip or some shit like that, just like the clowns, there's some things that people aren't, that people just don't, they shy away from, or they're even a little scared of, to me, that's really cool. I think that you can hold a positive spiritual light against anything if you're trying to make a connection to something on a positive level. I'm not talking about opening up doors to a negative underworld, or and getting things attached to you, and here you having to go in and cut all these strings because you have this evil force that's trying to possess your soul. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about some of the things that our mind is already creating, that we're seeing, and it is okay to see these things and to be part of it, because it is part of our world. So to me, it's just really exciting, and I just love it. And I love it where I see the like I said, the clowns, or the little faces, the Rob Zombie. He's a director of his own right, and he makes some really, really, I think, interesting movies. Some of them are a little nuts. However, somebody somewhere had to come up with the characters and these things. And I can tell you from my own experience, sitting around many, many nights, trying to figure out what was really going on, because I'm a recovering drug addict. I have almost 8 years sober in April, and let me tell you, there's something out there that I was trying to figure out, and I could see it. And I can see it in the grains of wood. I can see it in, the night sky. I can see it in even this countertop. If I look long enough, I'll start finding things. And I love to create pieces that I see that in. And I love it when I see one that's just laughing, just laughing, because you see, we can allow things like that to really rule us. But I think, I'm a big believer in, don't be negative to negative things. Don't turn that negativeness around. Never insult the dark. because then you're just being like them, you know. So I said a lot, but that's just my beliefs. Anyway, this was a video about nubs. There's one. See, we got some stuff. See, I like this guy. Here's a little hooded dude here. Sometimes I'll do this. I'll go through the guy and then I'll create him. I'll go in there and then I'll start making like a face. I know it's not gonna, this part right here is actually the ridge of the other side, and this is the ridge of this side, so it's gonna be a fold. So they won't ever come together again. But to me, I can see things in it. I think it's kind of fun. I think it's kind of cool, you know. So have fun with it, you know. Create your own space for you to enjoy. This is your artwork, you know, and you get to be the painter of it. So anyway, tell me what you think. Peace.